Affairs Roundtable, and we are so glad to have all of you with us this morning, and as well as in our TV audience. We have with us this morning Mayor Ken Moore from the City of Franklin and the City Administrator, Eric Stuckey, and we're anxious to find out more about the future of Franklin. We want to focus really on the future of Franklin from a Chamber of Commerce perspective, and so we asked them to come and give us an update on what's going on and what they see happening over the next several years. Mayor Moore, tell us a little bit about you first. I think a lot of the citizens out there don't probably know your career history and family, and tell us a little bit about the things you told us back when you were campaigning.
It's all behind me. I am a physician, orthopedic surgeon by training, and my specialty was hand surgery, and I practiced for 28 years in Murray County in Columbia, Tennessee. I got the call from my wife whenever I was thinking about retiring that she wanted to move home. This is her hometown and her mother's hometown, and fortunately I was smart enough to heed her advice and move to Franklin. So it's been a great time ever since.
Well, you've been a great addition to our town, and I remember when you were campaigning as an alderman, you came to see me, and I unfortunately had already committed to somebody else, and ever since I've been glad that you won. So,
well, you're very kind, and I bear no grudge. You were very kind to me that day, and
that's why I like you so much.
I do have your name on the list, though.
Eric, now your last name is spelled like the signs we used to see and still see occasionally along the interstate, and I've just got to ask, is there some relationship between you and Stuckey's, or is it?
Unfortunately, there's not. I am not heir to the pecan log fortune, but no, I'm not. But I did always enjoy seeing those signs along the way. Made me feel on the highway growing up.
I bet it did. Now, you've just accomplished something that not very many people in the world can say they've accomplished. Mount Kilimanjaro, is that the way you pronounce it?
Yes, that's right.
And just got home
last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday. So tell us a little bit about that. That's kind of a dangerous thing to do, isn't it?
Well, we prepared pretty well for it. It was an exciting adventure that I took on with my brothers, Kent and Doug, and had worked towards it. We talked about it. My one brother had done a climb of Kalapatar and the Everest Base Camp about a year and a half ago, and said, we ought to do this as brothers. We ought to do a climb. I'm like, sure, right, yeah, whatever, you know. And we kept talking about it, and about 6 months ago, he really pushed the issue, and we locked in a climb for Kilimanjaro, and the three of us took that on and got it done. Summited about a little less than 2 weeks ago.
Goodness.
And we get a certificate when you summit, and the number on my certificate is 288134. So I take that as terms of certified climbers, I'm within the first 300,000 to have ever reached the summit of Kilimanjaro, which is the highest peak in Africa. It was a great experience to take on with your brothers, and we still like each other after this, which is a good thing too.
Amazing. Now, is Mount Everest next, or?
I'm not so sure. I don't know. There's a lot more involved in that climb than what we did, but it was a great adventure. We'll see what happens next.
Great. Now, how long have you been city administrator?
Just coming on 5 years. About 5 years ago, had the opportunity to come on here, and it's been great. My family has loved moving here and made the adjustments well, and it's been a great community to be a part of, a great team at the city to get to work with every day.
Great. Good. Glad to have you on the team. Mayor, tell us overall how you see the future of Franklin and whether it looks good, or how would you describe it?
Bright.
Right.
Yes, if things come to fruition, we're going to continue to experience a lot of quality growth in Franklin and also in Williamson County. We're currently doing a special census because there is such rapid growth in our community, and this is important for those that are listening. We receive some of our funding based on our census numbers, And we think that we've grown about somewhere 7,500 to 8,000 people since the 2010 census. And when you look at shared revenue, that can be a significant thing. But when you start to look at our entire region, which whenever I'm meeting with other mayors in the region, we talk about the growth, and there's going to be over a million new people here in the future. If we look specifically at Franklin, we think that by 2020, we'll have 90,000 people, and by 2040, probably 120,000 is kind of the number that sticks in my mind. So a lot of our focus as a group of Board of Mayor and Aldermen, and also as far as the city administration, is addressing what long-term planning looks like. And I must say that pretty much everything we do, we look at a horizon 25, 30 years out. So I think the future is bright. Our challenge, people always ask me, what's the hardest part of your job? And I say, keeping Franklin, Franklin. And we do have a very special place, and we try very hard to make sure that we retain that unique character that we have, while at the same time being a very progressive community that embraces job growth and quality of life.
Great. Well, it's a lot of effort gone into that over the years, and I know that y'all are still trying to make sure that nothing changes as much as possible, and we've been able to maintain the historic downtown area sort of independently from the Cool Springs and the growth areas.
I think that's a good point. We are very fortunate that they're separated. We have an economic generator that's separated from our historic core. One of the most common questions is, Cool Springs part of Franklin? And of course it's part of Franklin, and it's a significant source of revenue for our city. And
Right.
we certainly embrace the growth and the quality jobs that are coming out of there.
Right. City finances, and I'll kind of brace the audience. We've got about 25 bullet points that the mayor and I have accumulated that we wanted to cover this morning. I told him that means we can spend about 60 seconds on each one. But we'll attempt to move through these things. But overall, the financial base of Franklin's, Eric, how do we look?
Well, financially, we've got a strong financial base. We're a AAA bond-rated community, both by Standard & Poor's and Moody's, which puts us in the very top echelon of communities across the country. The board has worked hard to develop policies that help us stay at that high status in terms of debt policies and reserve policies that have been put in place for the last 5 years that help guide us in our budgeting, help guide us in our capital projects. We've been able the last 2 years to add to our reserves, which are hovering around 50% of what our operating budget is, which is a very strong reserve. And that's part of what helps support that AAA bond rating. But part of our reality is, too, we're very dependent on sales tax. The sales tax generated primarily at the mall and through retail activity throughout the community is about 45% of our general fund budget. And that is an inherently reactive revenue source. So if the economy slows, you start to see it and feel it in sales tax pretty quickly, which is what we experienced about 4.5, 5 years ago when the economy hit the Great Recession. And so we have those reserves in place to help protect us. We try to budget conservatively and plan conservatively. And our departments and our leadership throughout the organization do a really fine job of being stewards of those funds as well. We really work well to use the dollars wisely in ways that serve the community well. So we really are in a strong position. We still have a budget that is less than it was 5 years ago. And we were able to react and reduce our budgets without a single layoff and without a negative impact on services. In fact, we've enhanced services even at a lower budget. Things like curbside recycling and expanding advanced life support services from our every fire station throughout the community, and I could go on with other things that we've done, but lots of things that we've done to continue to serve better, serve the community well, meet the needs of the community, even with budgets that we've had to reduce to live within our means.
Right. Now, we had, I think, been I won't say dependent, but we had received a lot of impact fees from the construction industry over the last several years. How was that impacted by the recession, and how did that impact the city?
Yeah, we've had to plan for that as well in terms of things like facilities tax and impact fees are part of what we use to help pay for some of the infrastructure improvements, as we should, because those infrastructure enhancements tie to the impact of growth. And so one of the principles that the board has emphasized is that we need growth to help pay its way. And so that's what that's there for. But when growth slows, then those resources aren't there as much. And so we've had to watch that. Facilities tax went into a negative balance for a little while. It's now positive and looking very strong, and actually looking to fund some future enhancements in terms of fire station construction that we know is a need for a growing community. Other impact fees have been impacted as well.
Yes.
Excuse the pun.
Right.
But we're continuing to monitor those, and those are continuing to get stronger as there's a rebound in growth and development as well. And so we look at those as part of our funding strategies for the various improvements, whether it's water, sewer, roadways.
Right. Mr. Mayor, you got anything to add to that, or?
I think Eric's done a great job summarizing a really complex question, so thanks, Eric.
It's how many $1 million did you say you spend every year?
Well, our general fund budget this year is 58 million, give or take a few pennies, whereas the water and sewer fund is an additional fund, which is, what is it, about 26
Somewhere
to
around
28?
25, yeah, 26, yeah, something like that.
So then you have to.
A lot
you have
going
to
on.
Make sure all those dollars get in the proper place, right?
That's right, that's right.
City buildings, what's on the horizon for the new city hall, Mr. Mayor?
Well, let me give you a little history first, in that a number of years ago, prior to the recession, we were actually looking at considering a public-private joint venture with the creation of City Hall, a boutique hotel, some commercial and residential on the City Hall property. And with the recession, the financing for that went away. There were a lot of adjustments as far as the people we were working with. And so we actually have a clean slate now as far as what we will do. I think most of the conversations I've had, at least, that has to do more with the importance of building a new city hall. We're in a building that's way outlived its usefulness, and that's a big understatement. It would take massive amounts of millions and millions of dollars to bring it up to code, and it's not a well-designed building at all. So I think the talk right now is, how do we build a new city hall on the property, and how do we relocate during a rebuild, and then what do we do with the residual property? I think that plenty of opinions about that, and I have my personal opinions, and we'll see how the board reacts and how staff brings this forward to us in the future. It's actually one of our capital projects we're considering.
So what would be the timetable on that?
We don't have a timetable yet. We're still ranking capital projects and looking at what our options are and how we might be able to fund it in the future.
Eric, tell us about the new Public Works facility.
We have a couple other things going on. The Public Works facility is under construction right now. It's actually an adaptation of the old 84 lumber property that's off of Columbia Avenue, Lumber Way. We're working on it right now. It was just a great opportunity for us to obtain that existing building. Has a lot of infrastructure already in place that we can use. We just need to adapt it a little bit to our use. And so that project's underway. It's about 15 acres of land, only about 8 acres of which is utilized right now. So it gives us both the ability to adapt what's there and serve our needs to consolidate our public works operations, because we have very antiquated facilities up on the hill where we literally have some of our mechanics working outside on some of our equipment because the space is so limited, to our streets facility, which is a newer building but is still small compared to what we need to do and the needs that we have, again, for a growing community. So we'll be able to consolidate those operations together for our fleet, our water management, and our streets crews. So they'll be there together in a better location to provide better access throughout the community, and also room to grow. There's also an efficiency to having those operations together. They can share resources in terms of equipment and work better together. Now they're separated apart. So
Right.
that project's underway. I would expect the middle of next year we will be in that facility and operating out of it and getting the benefits of that consolidation.
Now, why did you have to put a new road through the YMCA soccer and football fields?
Well, we wanted to have access to a signalized intersection so that we could get in and out there. And so that access road was important because otherwise you could be, there's no way you could put a signal out at the direct line out there. So we did have to build an access road, which is now complete, and that signal is up. And so that'll help us get better access in and out onto Columbia and out through and into the community to do our work.
Well, I must say it turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to when I first saw the construction. So, I was out there Saturday watching a flag football game, and it's not too intrusive. It works pretty well. So
It should be all right, so thank you.
I might make one quick comment about the new Public Works facility, and that I was out there with Brad Wilson, our facilities manager, recently, and we were filming a segment for More with the Mayor, which is one of our public outreach programs trying to explain what's happening in the community, what's happening with our employees and also people in the community. So that'll be coming up on YouTube very soon. And it'll be a nice walkthrough and for you to be able to see what we see as the vision for that facility. Right now, you see a lot of workmen and a lot of activity, but
Right.
It is going to add a significant amount of efficiency, we think, to our public works operations.
One of the things I'd add too, by using an existing facility, we had done some estimates for building a new public works facility at one point. This is probably $3 to $4 million less expensive because we're using buildings and infrastructure that's in place.
Right.
And it's just an ideal location in terms of, for the community, both in terms of the footprint we have today, but the footprint we expect 10, 20, 30 years from now.
Right. Well, now, what other new buildings are on the horizon? We've got the police station in place. We've got the city hall on the horizon. The Public Works takes care of most of our public works needs. The solid waste department's got a new facility over on Bradley Court, I believe. And what else is there out there that we need, that we don't know we need?
Well, we're working on fire stations too, and we've been doing some design. We've got 2 fire stations on the drawing boards, one in West Haven and one in the Goose Creek area, both in terms of looking at the expansion of the community. We're actually designing both of those together because we want those designs to be similar so that operationally you can go in there and they'll have consistent layouts and how they operate. And so that is underway. As I indicated, our facilities tax fund is in a position to pay for the construction and equipping of those 2 stations. And so that's something that's being considered in our update of our capital program.
Okay.
But appears to be the highest priority among the board is to go ahead and move forward with those fire stations. They'd probably do one at a time, but the designs are being done together. And so I think those are a year or 2 out till we'd be hitting construction, but those are happening, especially looking at West Haven where there are so many rooftops already up, and to help serve that area will really be an enhancement to our ability to respond to medical and fire emergencies.
You mentioned the solid waste facility. That is a relatively new facility, but we're partnering with the county to build a hazardous waste facility there, and that's currently being, the architectural drawings are currently being done.
And also got a state grant to help pay for that facility as well. So that'll help provide daily services for household hazardous waste drop-off, where we're able to do some of that now with certain elements, the battery, oil, paint, antifreeze, and electronics that we collect every day. That will be enhanced, and we'll be able to take even more of a larger group of household hazardous waste through that facility. That'll eliminate the need to do special collection days because it'll be there for you every day.
Okay.
And so that'll be a nice improvement in terms of service to the community as well.
Right. Any shredding facilities going in with that?
Not that I know of. Not in that facility.
That's my need right now. Water and sewer, switch gears and talk about water and sewer for a few moments. Mr. Mayor, what is an integrated water plant?
That was a 2-year study that the city conducted along with our consultants, about a $2 million study, in fact. Lasted 2 years, and it was addressing our long-term water needs, whether it's stormwater, wastewater, or water. And what we found before we started the study is that we didn't know what our needs would be in 25 to 30 years. And most growing communities have a long-range plan how they're going to address those things. This is a very unique study. It may be the only one that's been, we know it's the only one that's been done in Tennessee, and it may be one of the few that's been done in America to take those water, stormwater, wastewater operations and then relate them to the Harpeth River and how they affect the Harpeth River. So this was a very sensitive study to make sure that the things we're doing as a community are not harming the Harpeth River, which is one of our greatest resources. We looked at it as far as the effect of putting wastewater back into the river, which, by the way, is a highly purified water form. We looked at what withdrawal from the Harpeth River did to the Harpeth River. We looked at what increasing the withdrawal would do. And then also we looked at stormwater issues. So from this, we came up with a group of recommendations as far as things that we need to consider long range, which, if I remember correctly, there's about $130 million of, probably a little more than that, of needs over the next 25 or to 30 years. You know, some of these things are needs that are determined by regulatory agencies,
Right.
saying that you've got to upgrade because, you know, the rules have changed.
Right.
Some of it is capacity issues for us because, you know, whenever you're nearing 80% capacity for your wastewater plant, you need to start planning when you're going to expand it.
Now, what's the capacity of our current plant?
I think it's 10 million gallons a day,
And
if I remember correctly. And what we're currently studying on doing, I think, will increase it to about 14 million gallons a day. And we're also looking at some improvements in the collection system, making sure that the collection system doesn't collect stormwater.
Right.
You know, because you don't want to be treating stormwater. That's very wasteful, and all we're treating is wastewater.
how much are we treating currently?
I think about 8 million. Is that
We're
about
getting,
right?
yeah, it's actually a 12 million gallon a
I'm
day
sorry.
plant, but it is a $4 million expansion, or 4 million gallon a day expansion. We're right around the 80% capacity range overall, which is
Right.
approximately when you need to move forward with plans. So we've already done that and are in the design phase for that expansion and enhancement of the plant.
Now, you've bought some property by I-65 upstream. Is there another wastewater plant going there at some point, or what's the plans for that?
That's ultimately a decision the board will need to make. That this expansion is at the existing plant. The expansion we're working on right now, the 4 million gallon a day expansion, is at that existing plant. Additional capacity beyond that, which with the growth of the community, we're not that far away from needing to make plans for that as well. That will be the next decision point for the board to decide whether to expand even more of the existing plant or use the property that was purchased for the south plant area.
Right.
The challenge with this, especially since there's so much development in the south, if you continue to operate at the existing site, you're going to be pumping longer and longer distances with larger amounts of wastewater. So there's efficiencies to look at there. That's an option that was developed in the integrated plan, but a specific decision on that is something the board still needs to make. What we did with the implementation of the integrated plan is sort of broke it into immediate needs in terms of the next 5+ years, 5 to 10 years, what do we need to do? And those are the projects we're working on now. This is at the back part of that planning horizon that we would need to look at additional capacity and where we place that in the community, whether it's existing site or constructing a south plant. So the plan does recommend the south plant as a location, but the board has not finalized that decision yet, and that's something we decided we would look at a little later as we take it a piece at a time, implement the ones that need to be done in the more immediate future, and then look at the next steps when that time is appropriate. But
Well,
that time is probably quicker than we think with the growth that's going on.
My question about that is, are you really going to put another wastewater plant upstream from the intake for the water plant? We can talk about that.
Well, and that's all part of the modeling and things we looked at, and actually the water we put back in that river is cleaner than the water we take out. But
Okay.
I think we want to dispel a lot of those myths that go along with that comment you just made. We're
Is that an urban legend? That,
it's something that frequently is stated, but is not exactly true.
okay.
The water we're getting right now comes out of the Cumberland River and happens to be the discharges upstream from that intake. But one other thing I might mention is the treatment of biosolids, the sludge that comes from the wastewater plant. Currently, our process that we use only takes it to a certain degree of drying, and the rest of it we're then transporting those biosolids to Camden, Tennessee, and I think about 80% of that is water. So we're actually looking at a new process on how we address biosolids going forward. The other thing that's pretty exciting we'll be considering tomorrow night at our Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting is starting a discussion about another solar array at our wastewater plant. Right now we have about a 200 kilowatt field out there in a public-private joint venture, and we're looking at maybe doing another megawatt. And this is exciting because one of our greatest expenses is electricity at the wastewater plant. We've done some unique things to address that. First, with a grant with the EPA and TDEC last year, we identified $200,000 a year of savings that could be appreciated by just doing some changes. And we made those changes, and so we were recognized for those $200,000 a year savings. The other thing that we're doing is we're in a program called Demand Response. This is a program that TVA has through a company called Internoc that helps whenever there's a peak demand on energy. They will notify our plant, and our plant, if they are able to, will cut back on their power usage for a period of time until that high peak demand response is done. And that's generating some savings for us. And of course, we look at the solar fields. That's also a source of revenue that'll help defray some of the expenses at our wastewater plant.
Interesting. Water plant's in good shape now. We've spent some money on it over the past few years. Is it,
Well, we're working on some enhancements there as well. We've got some requirements that we need to upgrade for in terms of regulatory requirements. Another issue the board's going to weigh in on is whether to expand the capacity of that plant. It's a 2 million gallon a day production plant, and there's an opportunity to go to 4 million gallons. We're going to look at the cost benefit of doing that. We generally can make water cheaper than we can buy it from Harpeth Valley Utility District, although about 2/3 of the water that we use is purchased by through Harpeth Valley. So we're always going to have that as a significant part of our mix in terms of providing water to the community. And of course, we're one of 4 or 5 utilities that serve our citizens on the water side. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag there in terms of we serve part of the community, but there are other utility districts that serve our citizens on the water side as well. But we're the primary sewer provider in the community.
Well, I will say that I was one of the chief skeptics of removing the dam off the river as far as number one, making sure we had access to the water, but also I couldn't understand how that would affect the fishing. But I must reluctantly say that the fishing behind my house is now much better than it used to be, so.
Well, glad to hear that.
And that was a great project. I'm glad you mentioned that because it was a City of Franklin project to remove the Lowhead Dam. And that was part of our agreement with TDEC as far as being able to withdraw from the Harpeth River. And we had a number of partners in that project, and it's been successful. We've been recognized by former Secretary Salazar for that particular project. It was one of 2 projects in Tennessee that were recognized, and so
Right.
we're moving forward with it. We're proud of it.
Well, my sons appreciate the improvement to the fishing back there, so we enjoy it. Switching gears to the thing that most of us focus on when it comes to growth is roads and streets. And there's a lot going on there, you know, just in the paper this weekend, or maybe Friday, the announcement about the I-65 project being awarded. Anything there that we didn't learn from the newspaper article that is worth telling, Mr. Mayor?
I think the newspaper article pretty much outlined it. It's going to be a project that involves widening of I-65 from Goose Creek all the way down to 840, and at the same time is going to involve completely rebuilding that particular interchange at Goose Creek.
Right.
So that's going to be a several-year project. It's something that'll hopefully improve traffic flow from the south, make the roads safer for our commuters.
Right.
But I might just say that, as we continue to build roads and widen roads, that's not a sustainable initiative because you can only build roads so wide. There's only so much money to improve them. So as a community, as a region, we're all looking to additional opportunities to improve our transportation system. And when we look at our transportation system, we have to look at many, many options. People right now, our mindset generally is get in the car and go. But there are a lot of other options out there. There are about 100 van pools that operate in our region. We have the express bus service, which I think we have 3 routes right now that go to Nashville. One stops at Vanderbilt, one stops at the Music City Center. The ironic thing is those come to Williamson County empty and go back to Nashville full. And we have a unique opportunity here in that we're like no other county around Davidson County. We almost have an equal influx of people from Davidson County into Williamson as we do going into Davidson County every day. Almost a 50-50 split. So
Right.
There's a good opportunity for a transit option there. So we do need to be studying that. I think the fact that Mayor Dean has brought forward this AMP project,
Right.
which is a project that signals the start of some other transportation options in our region, and I think that many of us will find that that is a good option for us sometimes when we go to Nashville.
Right.
So, we've got particular areas in our city right now that are going to be studied very soon as far as additional transit options, particularly this McEwen-Carruthers area of our city, where there's going to be a significant amount of growth and a significant amount of people in the daytime.
Right. Back to Goose Creek just a minute, and then we want to come back and talk more about that McEwen-Carruthers area. But now, I was a little confused exactly what kind of interchange is actually going to be built at Goose Creek. Is it going to be like McEwen, or is it going to be different?
It's going to be what they call a tight urban diamond, so which is a typical traditional
Okay.
Interchange. Originally, we had at one point looked at what they call a spewey or single point intersection, which is like the McEwen
Right.
structure. That would have cost Franklin about $4 million to basically buy that upgrade.
Right.
As we looked at our needs and the benefit overall of that,
Yep.
the board and working with TDOT made the determination that we didn't need to go spend that extra money. So it is moving forward with a more traditional design. The footprint of that is not too dissimilar. It uses a little bit more land than maybe the other option would have, but it will move forward with that. I would add one other thing. This is about a $46 million project. It'll be completed, estimated completion June of 2015. One of the things the board did, working with TDOT and working with the developer Boyle in that area, is we've provided for some additional funding to make sure that those improvements and road improvements connect all the way to Lewisburg. There had been a gap
Okay.
where the TDOT project stopped
Right.
before it got to Lewisburg, and to their credit, TDOT brought that to our attention, said, we'd be glad to fold this into the bid, but it's not part of the TDOT project, footprint of our project, so we worked together with them, with the developer Boyle in that area, to make sure that gets done with the whole project so that it flows right into Lewisburg and we don't have a choke point created just outside their project area. So
Right.
that's an important improvement, and I think good forward thinking by everybody involved to kind of see that project through.
Right. Now, Carruthers. Carruthers South, what's the schedule, timeframe that we should be seeing some things going on there?
Well, it's been awarded, and it's just starting up in terms of that project. That is one the board decided to go ahead and move forward with. That'll help provide some additional connectivity and to the eastern portion of the city, eastern into the southeastern area. Good news on that one was that bid came in about $3 million under budget, which is great. And so that is moving forward. That has a completion estimate of August of 2015. So it's a pretty long project as well. We're building new road there to
Where does
make that work.
go from and to? What's the?
It goes, it connects down into the Lad Park neighborhood.
Oh, does it?
And will ultimately connect down to the, give you connectivity down to the Goose Creek area
All
as
the way
well,
then.
on the east side.
Right.
You'll have to, initially, we'll be going through that neighborhood to get that access, but that'll give us really a parallel to I-65 on the east side that'll help connect all of the development that is anticipated and is happening already out on that area of town.
Right.
Falcon Creek to Ladd Park is kind of my little quick
Okay.
jingle I
Yeah.
use,
Right.
but the fact is that Carruthers, the current existing Carruthers, is a very curvy road, very presents a lot of challenge
Right.
for drivers. How's that? And it'll be a significantly straighter and a much safer road.
Right. Good. Now, McEwen Drive, Carruthers Parkway area. Lots going on there. We could spend the rest of our time talking about that, but let's don't. But give us a recap, Mr. Mayor. What are we going to be seeing there over the next few years?
Well, there's a significant amount of development that's occurring there in each quadrant of Carruthers and McEwen. In the northwest quadrant, you have Franklin Park, which is a Spectrum Emory project that'll have 1.5 million square feet of Class A office space. You see a tower going up already, and also going to have about 300 apartments. The unique thing about that particular project, it is going to have a Central Park type area, which will be a unique feature, I think. On the northeast corner, you have Crescent Resources, which is getting ready to break ground on some additional luxury apartments, and I think there's some plans for some mixed use and Class A office space in there. On the southeast corner is what a lot of people refer to as the Pickering property. We recently had an announcement at the Franklin Theater by that particular group, Highwoods and South Star, giving their vision of what that project would be, which would be Class A office space, mixed-use residential apartments. They're saying about an $800 million investment over probably whatever the life of the project might be, which is 12 to 15 years. It's a project that we're all excited about because it's something that'll be a unique development that there's none in our area that I think that I'm aware of, and it's something that you see in some of our competitor cities, and so we'll see that coming forward. Then on the southwest corner, you have Vanderbilt that's going to be developing a facility there that will house a lot of their subspecialists. About 500 employees build out. They've delayed that a bit because of the layoffs and cutbacks that they're experiencing, but they're still very optimistic that that project will come forward in the near future.
Just exciting times when you go to Cool Springs to look at all the growth that's going on there. Switching gears again, a project that a lot of us get to experience on a regular basis, but the Hillsborough Road, I think Fifth Avenue Extension.
Who was that groaned? Was that you, Ann?
That was an audible groan.
Alderman Peterson's here with us this morning, so yeah,
Right.
We've had a lot of discussions about Hillsborough Road with her and at board meetings, and so I'm glad she's here today.
That's a project that has been broken into 2 phases. The first phase we're working on now goes from 96 West up to Independence Square, and that is projected, for completion in May of 14. So that'll be next spring. So we've got some work there still to do, obviously, and that's a improvement to the road as well as some of the streetscape elements as you work into downtown to make that look and feel more like you're heading into someplace special, which we know downtown is. And so that is that project's underway. We look to really bid the second phase, which will take it from Independence Square up to Mac Hatcher, right on the heels of that. So we'll be bidding that next spring and starting that really probably June timeframe. Right after we finish the one leg, we'll go to the other, which I know one of the challenges was whether to break this into phases, and we did, because we thought that would actually help lessen the impact than trying to do it all together. And also the phase 1 is more of a local project. Phase 2 has state grant dollars in it,
Right.
which adds some complexity and time to the process. And so we've been working those in parallel while only one is under construction. The other pieces are being put together so that we're able to bid and move forward with phase 2. It has been a challenging project, and we really have been appreciative of the patience people have offered us, but it is a long-term enhancement. It'll feel great when it's done. We know that, and it'll really help the community. But the opportunity was there to get it done and to get some state grant dollars to help us get it done. And so we're moving forward as best we can. There is additional work going on nights and weekends to help make that schedule work a little better and lessen the impact. You may not always notice that, but we are trying to manage it and make it as beneficial as we can, and just be careful, be cautious going through that construction area. You got a lot of people working there, and it is a pretty tight area in some places. So just to keep you safe and the people working safe, just continue to give us that grace and patience that you have for the last year.
Now, and we'll talk more about this in a minute, but I understand that the northwest quadrant of Mac Hatcher has been put off a little further into the future. Have we seen any traffic studies or anything that would indicate how this Hillsborough Road improvement will help that situation in trying to get to the western side of Franklin?
Well, it does give you some enhanced capacity, so it will help somewhat, but it won't replace the need and the capacity that the extension of Mac Hatcher is intended to provide. And what we've done as a city is to try to do everything we can to put that in a position for that project to move forward. We've advanced money to do design and to help with the land acquisition. All the land acquisition has taken place to this point. At TDOT's request, we've even done some additional value engineering to reduce the cost of the project and some redesigns in key places like the traffic circle that had been envisioned at one point
Right.
at 96 West is now being converted to a traditional intersection. A couple
Right.
other places we're making some changes that'll help make that more efficient, hopefully, and more cost-effective for TDOT to fund.
Right.
We're doing everything we can to put the ball in their court to deliver on their project. But we don't know. It's not in the 3-year plan at this point, and we're going to continue to do what we can to put it in a position. The MPO has put it as a high priority project for them, the Metropolitan Planning Organization. When they submit projects, it's continued to be high on their list. So we're continuing to try to do everything we can at the local level to keep that project under
Do
consideration.
we need to recruit some demonstrators to go out on Boyd Mill Avenue and demonstrate
Have
in
a
front of
sit-in or something? I don't know.
Commissioner Schroer's house?
We wouldn't want to suggest that, but if somebody wants to organize it, I mean, we certainly understand your ability to express your opinion. You know, one other thing I wanted to mention about Hillsborough Road, the current area where we're working, is that we just finished having a group of experts in from the American Planning Association. We applied for a grant with the American Planning Association and received this grant, and we had a group of national experts as far as development and planning come in to help us evaluate that particular corridor. You know, we're spending a lot of money on it to create economic activity.
Right.
And one of the challenges we've experienced is that much of that area is in the flood fringe overlay. And it's presented some challenges after the May of 2010 flood as far as properties going back in those facilities. And so we are looking at this carefully, and we're hoping that we'll come up with some unique approaches to make sure that that is a thriving economic corridor for our community as much as possible, and that it also is a corridor that is attractive since it is one of our major gateways into our city.
Right. Well, as many of you know, I need to patch things up here with Commissioner Schroer. He's got a very, very tough job. And I think as he was on this show a couple months ago, is doing a very good job at juggling limited funds to go around the state. And we like to aggravate him a little bit, but I do want to commend him for all the things that he is getting done for us at this point. So nothing major else going on that I had on my list. The Southeast Mac Hatcher, you had off camera a little earlier, you let me know that there's some hope there on the portion of Mac Hatcher around from Murfreesboro Road down to Columbia Avenue. So that's now.
We have put that on the long-range planning list that we work through the Metropolitan Planning Organization again for consideration. We're trying to help that one as well, and we know that's a real need.
Right.
At one point, it was all part of the widening that's happening now on the northeast side, but for whatever reason, TDOT decided to split those up, and we are trying to make sure that southeast gets consideration as well, because it's a big need. It's a choke point in the community as well.
Right,
No doubt.
pretty busy over there at rush hour. So it's, we do like to leave some time for our audience to ask questions. If there is anyone in our audience this morning that would like to ask about anything we haven't covered or re-ask some of the questions we already have covered, we'd love for you to step up to the microphone and introduce yourself and continue the line of questioning. So I see a couple people looking at each other, but I don't see anybody standing up.
Alderman Peterson,
there you
good
go.
morning.
Alderman Ann Peterson.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask about isn't it going to be the closure of that Hillsborough Road part tonight? Until the next one, if you would say something about that.
Yeah,
that would
it's
be good.
tonight, starting I think around 7 o'clock through the next morning. So there'll be some interference there, and just businesses remain open, but we're going to have some work we've got to do to get some pieces done. So just know that over the next day, starting this evening, that's going to be impacting as you get around the community. So.
I think this is a perfect example of not knowing what you're going to find when you start digging something up.
Yeah.
And there have been a few surprises that we've found as far as adequate support for the infrastructure there, and some surprises about the infrastructure. And that's created some challenges as far as having to close the road occasionally. So thanks for pointing that out, Dan.
And that's what happens when you're dealing with the older existing infrastructure. You have some of those challenges, and it is a more difficult build compared to building new. So that's one of the challenges we run into.
Ryan Anderson?
My name is Rainer Kirsten. We just moved here less than 2 years ago. And first of all, I want to compliment the city for handling a huge package going forward with all these expansion and the growth at hand. I would like the city to take two issues. Don't give me an answer, but just take it in consideration. Number one, water and sewer. Water costs in Franklin are separated between what the city, the inner circle of the city receives, and then there's an outer circle. Once the city reaches 120,000, I hope the city comes to a conclusion that all residents in Franklin pay the same cost for water and sewer, even though the sources may be different. It's just a fair consideration, because the strange consideration, the fact is that those who pay more for water today, which is 20% above what people pay in the center, they actually pay even a higher contribution in the sewer cost. And where we live, we pay certain periods during the year more for sewer than we pay for water. That's a little strange. It's very difficult. And I understand from some insight I got from the city that this has to do how the water suppliers to the outer circle actually communicate with the city what the sewer usage should be. So there's a little work which would help. One price, one cost for water and sewer for all residents when the city reaches 120,000. The second issue is a lot of roads in Franklin are two-lane roads. Today, it is already an issue. Long-term, allowing parking in the city is something which need to be reconsidered. Many cities in the current size and the future size have decided in a very early stage that at least the secondary roads, people should not park on the street unless they have fully utilized their parking spots and their driveways. And it's an issue I really want the city to look into in the long-term effects. Today, the traffic at peak hours is already challenging. Mm-hmm. We stay away from it. We're retired, so we can stay away from it. But if you also continue to allow parking on the secondary roads, which people will use to go through neighborhoods, with all that parking, it will be an obstacle. And I hope you will look at it, not now, not tomorrow, but someday in the future, to find a solution for this on-street parking, which is not a recommendable situation for the quality of life in Franklin. It is more appealing for the community if there are no cars on the street, but it's also becoming an obstacle road when people have no clear understanding that parking on opposite sides of the road limits even the traffic passing through the two-lane roads. So please look into it and find a solution. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reiner.
Comments, gentlemen?
Well, first of all, we're glad to have Reiner in our community. I've had the opportunity to meet with Reiner, and Reiner is a very forward-thinking man, and he brings a lot of talents to our community, and it reflects, I think the fact that he's moved to our community reflects the quality of life, and also, I don't remember if they're grandchildren that are here, but that's one of the things that may have drawn him here. So thanks for your comments, Reiner, and we certainly are always looking at ways to improve and appreciate your thoughts.
Mindy?
The Fifth Avenue plan came out with the American Planning Association, as you mentioned.
Introduce yourself, please.
Sorry, I'm Mindy Tate. I thought you said my name, so I said Mindy Tate with Franklin DeMar. Came out, and there were several interesting things. Forefront there was complete the Bicentennial Park, finish the park plan, but also a lot of discussion about the hazard mitigation community rating system, which could help individuals in our city who have flood insurance perhaps achieve a lower rate. Is the city going to pursue that hazard mitigation process? And they also talked about stream mitigation, maybe going in and cleaning some of those branches of the Harpeth and the Harpeth itself. Is that something the city's going to look at? And then the Bicentennial Park component there as well.
I'll
Great.
take the Bicentennial
Okay,
part. How's
Good.
that?
You wanna go do that? I'll do
Actually,
the
we're chipping away at Bicentennial Park a little bit. Part of the Third Avenue extension has some elements of Bicentennial Park in it. So once we finish that Third Avenue extension, which is across the street from the Sonic, I think you'll see that. Of course, we've got a trail system that we've started in there, and as we receive additional grant money, we'll continue to build that out. And I know the part of the answer to the hazard mitigation and the flood insurance, but I'm going to give that one to Eric.
Well, we've done a lot of work in that area since the 2010 flood in particular. We've been able to assist in some acquisition of severely flooded property, and are continuing to look at opportunities to help do that. We've done a lot of things too that put us in a good position to go into that rating system, and that was one of the observations. One of the people on the team works for those, and his observation from what we're already doing is that we're very close to being in a position to do that. So that's one of the things we'll be looking at in terms of what's involved in us getting to completion on that. So we'll be working on that. In terms of stream mitigation, that's part of our stormwater program, and we've got specific funding set aside to do that kind of work. I'm going to ask staff to take a look at those specific areas in and around that area, again, to see where those land on our priorities. We've got a 5-year plan, capital plan in stormwater like we do in water and sewer and in our general capital as well, and see where we're landing there. But we do have some funding and opportunity to do that as well. So there's capacity to do that work there. We're looking forward to getting that full report in about a month to see the specifics that are by there. We got a great kind of thumbnail last week, but I'm looking forward to seeing the specifics that come out of that report. And they did a great job, worked very, very diligently to get that done.
I'd like to quickly comment that
Go
this
ahead.
team came on their own. We paid their expenses, but we paid them nothing for their work that they've done. And they put in some long, long hours, and just want the community to be appreciative of how much volunteer time they gave us.
Well, our time is about up, and I want to be very appreciative for the time y'all have spent telling us what's going on and how you're managing to manage through our growth here and continue to attract new growth at the same time. I've served a short time as an alderman many years ago. I kind of understand the complexities of it, and it's a tremendous job, and we appreciate all that you all do to keep us looking good. And just want to do something that I should do more often this morning, and just say a word of appreciation to the Channel 3 staff. Newt Danley and his team make this possible every fourth Monday morning. And Newt, we really appreciate all you do here, and I think it's a great opportunity for us to be here. We also have a chamber staff that's behind the scenes, makes this happen. Emma Witherspoon, I told her this morning, the nicest thing that happens every time when I walk in here is when I smell that coffee. And we encourage our TV audience, if you can, be here on the fourth Monday mornings at 7:30. We'd love to have you with us and see you asking questions and helping us make this show even more relevant. So we'll continue to host it, and look forward to having you back next month. with the City of Brentwood Mayor and City Administrator. We're looking forward to having them with us and cover many of the same type issues with the City of Brentwood. That's all of our time this morning. We thank you for being here. Look forward to seeing you next month.